The inescapable and scandalous fact is that the Scottish Government would still be sitting on its hands, ignoring the damage to the Highlands if it had not been for the dramatic escalation threatened by Loganair. That is not how things should work. Cancer patients should not have to be subjected to fear in order to get a response from government. Islands should not be out of sight and out of mind until there is the risk of political embarrassment. Why has the Transport Minister suddenly discovered a role now when she repeatedly refused to become involved over the past 5 months, while Hyle said their own hands were tied by the Scottish Government's pay policy?
Minister.
I think Mr Bibby has somewhat mischaracterised the situation. I meet with the unions across the transport sector on a regular basis, and most recently I met, of course, with our airline unions at the end of January to discuss this very matter. So it's not true to say that I have not been engaged throughout this process. And I do share Mr Bibby's concerns, which is exactly why, when this decision was communicated to me on Friday, I sought the first available opportunity to speak directly to Hyle on Saturday morning. Now, clearly there's a need for an urgent resolution to this dispute. I'm particularly concerned, for example, about any implications in relation to medical appointments. I think, as the member alluded to, that is a matter that I've asked Transport Scotland to raise directly with Loganair. Now, remember, this is, I think, important for members to recall. This is a decision by Loganair, and Loganair's view is that action short of a strike in the form of a work to rule leads to short notice cancellation. So, for example, when staff absence can't be covered due to an overtime ban, Loganair have therefore taken the commercial decision in that respect because of the costs incurred by cancellations. But this is not a matter in which government ministers can become involved because the Scottish Government has no direct role in their provision.
Neil Bibby.
Many people in the Highlands and Islands believe that without Loganair's escalation, the Minister would still be missing, there would be no extra money on the table, and the indefinite prospect of cancellations and disruption would still be hanging over the islands with no end in sight. The Minister cannot be unaware of the damage done to fragile island economies by the ferries debacle. Why, for the past 5 months, has she failed to prevent that damage being compounded by the ongoing disruption to island air services? If extra money can be found now, why could it not have been found last week or last month to avoid the massive disruption that has already taken place and the hundreds of hospital appointments that have already been cancelled?
Minister.
Again, I would refute Mr Bibby's characterisation of the situation. I meet with our trade union partners on a regular basis. It was the 31st of January that I last met with our airline partners in relation to this very matter, and I recognise that that dialogue was ongoing. Of course, I will again reiterate, Presiding Officer, this decision in relation to the cancellation of flights is not a decision that has been taken by government ministers, and nor is it one that I have any input in as a government minister. However, I did meet with Hyle on Saturday morning at the earliest opportunity to explain the urgency to them directly. Hyle met with the unions yesterday to discuss this new draft proposal. That proposal is now being put to the Hyle board, and I expect an urgent update on the new proposal later today. But the focus here for government ministers is absolutely on addressing the underlying issue, which of course is settling the Hyle pay dispute.